In early 2016, Netflix took its most ambitious move and expanded it to 130 more regions, bringing the total to 190 countries. This was a big statement of intent for the growing network to take its fight against traditional cable services from the US to all around the world. Netflix backed this move afterwards with the production of the first French Netflix original, Marseille, the first Brazilian series, 3%, as well as the first non-English language original film, the Spanish drama Seven Años. But for the Middle East region, a high-growth market with no clear competitor, Netflix didn't have any regional offerings for a region awaiting the streaming revolution to hit its shores. It wasn't until the early 2018 that the region had a taste of the first Arabic original content, with Netflix ordering the production of Jinn, the first Arabic Netflix original set to launch in early 2019. Mirjan Bouchaya, a well-acclaimed Lebanese director, was attached to the project, with Jordanian origin Amin Matalka also attached to direct some other episode of the show, as well as a cast of young Jordanian actors. So it all seemed well, and everyone in Jordan and the Middle East was excited, for the dawn of Netflix original has come. And on June 13th, the show F5 episodes hit Netflix worldwide, and what followed was an absolute review bombing for the show that tanked its rating down to 3.5 on IMDb as it currently stands. So what went wrong with Jinn, and is it as bad as the rating would imply? So let's go through it, analyze it, and see what went well, what went bad, and what Netflix should focus on in either their season 2 for Jinn or their next Arabic original. So to start off, let's go over every single criticism given to the show and see if it was fair or not, and also I'll add some of my own. So the first episode starts with a couple of high school kids getting ready to board a school bus on a trip to the ancient city of Petra, and it's in this scene that felt to me the first issue in the series. Like, the show started with the English audio channel on, and for a couple of minutes I didn't feel anything was wrong. It wasn't until I really paid attention to the actors' moving mouths that I began to notice they were speaking Arabic, and this is really such an early warning sign that for a show supposedly to be the first Arabic Netflix original, it does not come off as genuinely Arabic, if I may say so, but more like a Western show just made in Arabic. But I wouldn't want to harp on for too long about this, so let's move on. Then we go along with our main character to Petra, starting with Mira, the main character played by Salma Malhas, who for the main part does an okay job for the character of Mira, the popular but also nice girl, and her close friend Laila, as well as her boyfriend Fahd. We also get to know Yassine, who is the teacher's pet, as well as the teacher, Miss Ola, who comes off as a bit wacky. Then the story takes us as some of Mira's friends, led by the stereotypical high school bully, chase off Yassine, who falls into a hole, and they let him in this hole and they just leave him there, in a hole in the desert where he may get bitten by a scorpion and just die. Just a tad bit too much there, and borderline criminal, may I add. But nevertheless, that's what should get us started off here. So Yassine gets bitten by a scorpion? Duh. That also happens to be a Jinn incarnated as an attractive high school girl. And on the other hand, Mira calls off her guardian Jinn by whispering into the rocky Petra cliffs. The show then follows this group of friends as the fight erupts between the good Jinn, summoned by Mira, who's trying to stop the evil Jinn, summoned by Yassine, who's trying to take over his soul. And as a start, we can see that the plot itself is not very complex, like it's a typical high school comedy/mystery adventure that would probably exist for the fun of it and the fun it provides. But the show was released to heavy criticism and even calls for it to be banned, to the point that the Royal Film Commission in Jordan released a statement defending the show and to reiterate its support for the diverse works of art in Jordan. So the main criticism was for the strong language used in the show and for, quote, immoral scenes which depict kissing between Mira and a couple of the other characters. Such scenes are not usually common in the Middle East or Jordan, so I can understand some of the outcries toward the show, but at the end of the day, as the Film Commission has clarified, it's a Netflix show, a subscription-based service on which you can freely select and choose what to watch, and you can definitely avoid watching it if it contradicts with your beliefs or convictions, as well as reiterating its role in encouraging the creation and production of local and international works of art in the kingdom. With that out of the way, let's start over the shortcomings of the show. The first thing is the plot, which is underwhelming, to be honest. The show is about a place as ancient and rich as Petra and has a cool premise, but for the most of the show it's wasted, as the show focuses on some uninspired scenes happening in the high school, which many were uninteresting or outright boring. Like, I wanted to learn more about Jinn, maybe have more mythical fables or tales told or introduced to us, but other than the title of the show, I have to say we got nothing of that. The second main issue is the script, which is extremely weak. The characters never seem to be making much sense. The dialogue just exists for exposition and to make or act as a transition to get us through one set piece to the next, whether those lines make sense or not. I mean, there is a scene in which Mira, Layla, and Mira's protective Jinn, Kiraz, have a major argument out of nowhere, where Mira almost literally says that she can't understand why Kiraz is so obsessed with stopping the evil Jinn while she wanted to go to her birthday party, which is a bit weird if you may ask me. And there are so many similar cases of unreasonable dialogue and forced story arc transitions. The last major issue I found was some of the performances of the cast, which some of these issues do come from the weak script rather than the actors themselves, so I wouldn't want to be too harsh, but the one that stood out would have to be Kira's actor, which stuck out with such a stiff performance. Like, I don't think any of the actors did a particularly good job, but considering the lines they had, and most of them being extremely young, I would say they overall did an okay job, and even Kiraz didn't particularly have great lines to help him, so again, I don't want to be super harsh on him. My last complaint was the inconsistency in the tone of the series. Like, for the most part it goes after the fun vibe, but sometimes it tries to go for the ominous, scary tones, using the music and the character facial expressions, and these scenes feel so out of place and really don't work that well, so it would have been better to just stick with a single theme or tone for the whole show. Finally, I'd like to say that the series did have some good stuff going for it. Like, the direction and cinematography were both done extremely well, and visually the show is extremely good for the first attempt in the Middle East. So do I think the show is good? No, I do not. But is it as bad as the ratings would suggest? Also no. In the end, it's an average teen show that, while entertaining, has some major shortcomings and some growing pains for a first time of its type. And I would say that is positive enough to start build on it for later shows. I don't really have any insight on how many views the show has or if Netflix has any plans for a second season, but I wouldn't hold my breath out for a second, considering the backlash the show faced upon its release. And with such low rating scores, the show may not have had major viewership on the platform. Personally, I definitely like a second season that may give us more of Petra and delve deeper into the Jinn world and move forward with the cliffhanger ending of season 1. So, in the end, I give it a rating of 5 out of 10, and I would hope for a second season. Thank you all for watching, and if you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe for more content like this one. Thank you.